Hello everyone, I am AYDOGAN Vatandaş, the editor-in-chief of POLITURCO.com. Today I'm joined by Dr. EMRE USLU. He is a well-known political commentator. So his insights are cited by different circles all the time. So we are going to talk about the most recent developments in Turkey. Especially, we are going to focus on a Turkish businessman. He is Sezgin Baran Korkmaz, and he was arrested in Austria a few days ago by the request of the United States. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Uslu.
Thank you for having me.
So I remember back in 2017, you were the first one who was exclusively writing about this gentleman, Sezgin Baran Korkmaz. We know that he is a very strong, powerful businessman in Turkey, but he also had ties in the United States. So can you please tell us about the context of your coverage or your writings in 2017 about this gentleman, and what are the potential charges against him right now by the United States and Turkey? So we can start like this.
The first time this guy came to my attention was through Mueller report. Do you remember that
Yes.
Robert Mueller report? And
Yes.
in the Robert Mueller report, his name was mentioned with Ekim Alptekin, another person who was trying to kidnap people from the United States, allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
And until that time, I've never heard his name. And an American journalist approached me and asked me, what do I know about him? And I said, well, I haven't heard about him, and he's not well known by any normal businessman standards. But let me investigate then. And when I started investigating him, and I realized that things really does not add up. I mean, when you think about the success story that he brought to us, that he was at the age of 13, he was washing the dishes, and he was shining shoes, and at the age of 30, he becomes one of the billionaires. And I said, look, this is not the United States that provides you a golden opportunity that if you come up with an invention and technology that you can be a billionaire in a few years. But in Turkish context, especially what he is doing, that it is not really possible to make this fortune within these few years. And I said it is most likely that this guy is laundering money and someone's money. And then I dug it down and I realized that he is laundering money. And actually, let me put it this way. And he is helping other so-called businessmen or other government officials to launder their money. His expertise is on simply that the international funds that he is mobilizing and moving monies around and bringing those dark money into Turkish economy. And keep in mind that since 2014, Turkey has shifted from regular economic activities into becoming a zone that Turkey receives all dark monies around the world. And given its size with the 83 million people, and it is easy and possible within Turkey to launder huge sum of money. This is what Sezgin Baran Korkmaz was doing, and later on I followed up, and of course later on the lawsuit against him and his business partners in Utah came out and revealed further details about his business in Turkey.
Right. So let's finish the first part. So you said that special prosecutor Robert Mueller was investigating him. So he was probably asking some questions about his affiliations with Mr. Ekim Alptekin. So Mr. Ekim Alptekin was under the investigation. So most probably they were considering him giving that $500,000 to General Mike Flynn. So are you saying that Sezgin Korkmaz might be the source of that money?
It is one of the suspects at least in this case. But when I tried to reach out his associate around him and ask him whether he was the source of that money, and he denied through different sources. Right now, his relations with Ekrem Alptekin is not so great, as you expect that he becomes the enemy of the state. And but certainly he was an active member of lobbying powers for the Erdogan in the United States. I'm suspecting that I believe that he spent some of his fortunes in those lobbying efforts, and therefore the lawsuit, if he is brought back to the United States, there is a chance that he could cooperate with the prosecutors.
Right.
And if he cooperates, and he would tell some of the secrets and some of the operations that he has conducted, at least he helped through his finance to be conducted in the United States.
Okay, so can you please tell us who these businessmen in Utah are? So we heard names like Kingston brothers.
Kingston brothers. Simply these Kingston brothers. Simply during the Obama administration, remember that the United States trying to shift from fossil fuel to renewable energy. And Obama administration was given a credit to those who produce renewable energies in the United States. Kingston brothers, simply according to indictments and in the media reports, was promising to produce biodiesel within the United States, and claiming to have biodiesel production facilities in the United States around the Midwest. And simply what happened there is that the investigators realized that they are actually bringing those biodiesels from Brazil and pretending as if they produce within the United States and selling in the market and gaining tax credit, I believe 15%. And according to the prosecutor's office, and through which they gained hundreds and millions of dollars from the U.S. taxpayers, and they smuggle these monies or funnel these monies out to Turkey to launder over there. And the way they were laundering the money, that where Sezgin Baran Korkmaz and his associate was coming, that simply they are using their powers within the political realm and within the political, especially Erdogan and his associates, to simply have companies bankrupt and then buy those companies with a cheaper price and later on selling it, and therefore circulating this money and laundering this money. And this is what happened in there. And by the way, there is one intermediary criminal figure, it's called Lev Aslan Tezdermanyan, I believe, and he later on becomes the Turkish citizens. And these people had good connections with Erdogan himself and his associates. Let me break a news for you. And according to my sources, that this guy, the Sezgin Baran Korkmaz, was one of the confidants of Turkish intelligence chief Hakan Fidan. And it is one source told me that Hakan Fidan was passing the hefty gifts like a golden watch or those precious metals and stones to Sezgin Baran Korkmaz to make it money, so convert it into money. And when I asked where did Hakan Fidan get those precious gold watches and so on and so forth, and he said that he was receiving gifts from various parties, and when he received the gift, and he was giving those gifts to Sezgin Baran Korkmaz to convert into money. This is another example that how powerful Sezgin Baran Korkmaz was.
But these Kingston brothers and another gentleman that you just mentioned, Mr. Derman, so did they have good connections with Trump administration as well? Did you hear anything about this?
Well, they did. I mean, they did try to, have a good connection, and I believe they all established good connection. At least they were supporting. But keep in mind that this smuggling activities has started during Obama administration.
Right.
And later on, they tried to use their position and influence Trump himself, and so that they can get away with it. But thankfully, the judicial branch in the United States is an independent. During the Trump administration, this lawsuit was open. So yes, they did have any connections, and at least they claim to have a good connection. Maybe because they were trying to influence Erdogan, because at the time Erdogan needed to have a lobbying power within the United States, and they were claiming that they had a good connections with Trump administration and Trump himself, and therefore whenever they needed anything, and they can easily reach Trump himself. Right. That could be a strategy. But what I heard from the people around Sezgin Baran Korkmaz, yes, they claim to have a good connections with Trump administration.
So if we know that he is arrested right now, he is in Austria right now, but if he would be brought to the United States, what kind of potential charges the United States might have against him?
Well, yeah, I think the charges is straightforward. It was mentioned in the lawsuit, and they laundered the money, and they funnel this money to Turkey through Sezgin Baran Korkmaz network. And I think the charges against him is laundering money and stealing US taxpayers' money. But the question here is that how much other crimes that they committed within the United States jurisdiction, and whether he can cooperate with the prosecutor's office to reveal those, and or whether the prosecutor's office will open new cases and new lawsuit based on what Mr. Sezgin Baran Korkmaz brought to the table.
Let me ask you about Sedat Peker. I mean, how are the relations between Sedat Peker and Sezgin Baran Korkmaz? What do you think about this connection? Do they have positive relations?
Well, until Sedat Peker mentioning his name, I don't think they had a positive relationship. But I think they did not have negative relationship either. And we need to focus on the people around Sezgin Baran Korkmaz. Sezgin Baran Korkmaz is types of guys that he wanted to have a connection with everybody. Trust me that he would even wanted to speak with you and with me and everybody. This is a type of guy, and it wouldn't be surprising to me that if he had a connection, somehow sat down with Sedat Peker. But as far as my knowledge goes and my analysis goes, and I think that Sedat Peker does not throw his people under the buses, but he gave his Sezgin Baran Korkmaz's name and threatened him, and saying that if you simply walk a wishy-washy line, and then I would reveal the videos and documentations about your hotel. Therefore, I would expect that they might have some level of indirect connections, but not a direct connections. I don't think that they had a positive. But after that video, Sezgin Baran Korkmaz certainly become the hot topic in Turkish politics, and things might have changed. Maybe they had established good relations, because at the end they have one common enemy, Süleyman Soylu, to remove.
Right. If the money laundered by Sezgin Baran Korkmaz was given to any Turkish officials or ministers in Turkey, do you think that these people also might be in jeopardy?
I don't know the American law in that context. What Americans are looking for is to get their money back. And as far as I know, that Sezgin Baran Korkmaz had approached American officials to try to pay the money that he got from Kingston Brothers. But his web of network is so complicated. And yesterday I made a video in Turkish, and I found out, for instance, in last May, he sold one of the key assets, the Hexagon engineering company, that to I believe in somewhere in Asia. And when I look at those people, and they're simply moving billions around the world, and therefore what he claims is that he only got credit, quote unquote, credit from Kingston Brothers, and which is about the $60 to $80 million, and he said he is ready to pay it anytime. But when it comes to establishing the Kingston Brothers networks and within Turkey, I think he is the key figure. And simply what I'm trying to say is that Kingston Brothers did not simply send money directly to him, but they established their own businesses inside Turkey and funnel their money from United States to their own businesses as well. So they established it's so dark web that it is very difficult to trace it down. What he can do is by when he comes, if he comes, and simply reveals this web of networks and try to help prosecutors and the public to understand how they funnel this money around.
Okay, so Dr. Uslu, what is your prediction? Mr. Baran Korkmaz also is wanted by Turkey. Turkey also wants him to be extradited to itself. But United States was the first country who wanted him. So where do you think he's going to be brought to the United States or Turkey?
I think he and his legal team will calculate the risks and benefits. And the benefits that he can get by coming to the United States, and if he cooperates with the prosecutors, and if they commit more crimes, and if he reveals those crimes against the United States and the interest of the United States, and he can walk free and help prosecutors and secure himself from Erdogan regimes. And it is very likely that Erdogan can hunt him down in Europe. However, there is also another side. Since I mentioned the chief intelligence operatives, the chief of MIT, Turkish National Intelligence, is also involved. It is also likely that he can convince, because everybody, is somehow associated, guilt by associations, associated with this guy through their guilt, and they can sit down and negotiate. And the question here is this. Whether the Austria authorities will hand him over to the United States when there is capital punishment in the United States. I don't know if the case is involved in the United States, but there are, I believe, Julian Assange case and their law team, his lawyers were simply claiming that please do not hand him over to the United States because there is a capital punishment and he can die. And I think there is a legal base in the European context for this. And how much this would work for the case against Sezgin Baran Korkmaz, we don't know, but certainly they would claim. If they would claim to try to stay in Europe or try to go to Turkey based on the possible possible extra heavy penalties that he would receive in the United States, which means that he sat down and agreed with the Turkish authorities. That is my suspect that at this point, in latest news from his lawyers indicates that he wants to come to Turkey and so on and so forth, would show that he might, have a better chance in Turkey than the United States. Yeah.
What about Sedat Peker? Because there are some indications that he will not be able to make it in United Arab Emirates because he stopped making videos. And he says that he's not feeling very safe for the last 2 weeks there. So do you think that he might also be willing to come to the United States? Is there such an option? Do you see any possibilities?
I don't see that possibilities that he wanted to come to the United States. However, he might wanted to go to Canada or other places, but less neutral, because as much as he is an organized crime mob and he's organized crime boss or mafia leader, he becomes also a political figure, and he runs his campaign on the basis of anti-West and nationalist feelings, and automatically those nationalism, position itself in Turkey. The nationalists position themselves in Turkey against the West, especially against the United States. If Sedat Peker comes to the United States, it would kill his political campaign and political aim. However, it doesn't mean that he would not go to Canada or more neutral countries like Sweden, Denmark, or those Nordic European countries. I would expect that he would, if there is a chance, he would go to those Nordic European countries, because there is close. But those countries also, he has to give up those mafia operations when he comes to the United States. Therefore, I think he's trying to wait and see.
Dr. Uslu, thank you so much for your insights. And today we had a remarkable guest, a political commentator, Dr. Emre Uslu. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for having me.